Hey everyone, welcome to Jack of All Staves, where we teach you the skills you need to be successful in your musical journey on drums, bass, guitar, piano, and the theory that binds them. My name is Robert, and today we're talking about bass, specifically how to hold a bass guitar. Stick around. Okay, so the first thing that's important to know about basses is that just like most instruments, there's hundreds of thousands of different kinds you can get. The most basic kind is a 4-string bass. One that I use for a lot of my playing is a 6-string bass, but the most commonly used one is a 4-string, so we'll talk about that today and give you an overview. And you get to meet the first bass I ever learned on 25-ish years ago, mine. And it has some bands that I still like, so enjoy those stickers and other stuff. To know how to hold a bass guitar, you first kind of have to know the main parts of it. And we'll go more into detail in a different video about what makes up a bass guitar and what the different components are. The main thing to know is that there's a big body part down here that houses the pickups, which pick up the sound, the vibrations of the string that are later translated through an electronic signal to an amplifier. You have your knobs down here that control the volume and different settings of those. You have the strings that go up the neck of the guitar, and these guys that go parallel to those strings are called frets. And then you have the head up here with the tuning pegs, and that will adjust the strings so they can be made higher or lower in pitch to make sure that it's in tune with itself or whatever you want to do with it. There's also little pegs here that you can use to attach a strap. And when talking about holding a bass guitar, I really suggest using a strap, because if you don't, it just sits on your leg, which is maybe fine if you're okay with that. But if you start to stand up, then you have to hold it, and it's a whole thing. So this strap will help me to make sure that it's at a consistent height of my body all the time without having to make any big motions or extra movements, extra muscle use while I'm playing. I like to have my bass set up in a way where I'm not too low and I'm not too high. And, it's, again, that whole Goldilocks idea. Like, there's no absolute right or wrong way to do this, but I've found that there are probably better ways to do things that help to make sure you can play longer without getting any potential discomfort or injuries. Because the bass is already kind of pulling with a strap on your back, and so ideally you don't want to make that even worse. And I've seen guys, typical punk rockers when I was in high school, these guys would be playing where it was super far down here, even lower sometimes, just because they thought it looked cool. And that's, if it works for you, okay, but your hands are in a very awkward position. It's not very ergonomical. And so we want to try to find a spot also that's maybe not too excessively high. If you take it all the way to the other extreme, oh my goodness, it can get way up here. If it works for you, that's fine. I've seen some players that will use that kind of position, and if it works, great. I like to have mine setting where, and of course everyone's body is different, so you have to find what works for you, where when I have my left hand that's going to be on the neck part of the bass, I can put my hand into this kind of claw-like position, put my thumb behind the neck and my fingers on top, and have a pretty straight line from my elbow to the knuckles here. And I kind of feel like I'm a little bit tweaked out of proportion there, so I'm going to raise it up a little more and see if that fixes things. We'll see how that works. That feels a little better to me. And I feel like that's more natural. I'm not having to bend and stretch. Because if you're bending and stretching all the time, there's all these tendons and muscles that go through your carpal tunnels here. They can get frayed and agitated. It can cause inflammation, and it can cause problems down the line. So if you do that over and over again, it can really cause issues. So you want to try to play in a way that's as natural as it can be for playing a bass, which, it can feel that way once you've done it for a while, but it's not. We're not born playing bass. And you also want to be in a place where your right hand, which will be responsible for actually plucking the strings down here, where it can be resting pretty gently. You don't want it to be like awkwardly placed. It should feel pretty comfortable. So if I back up a little bit, you can kind of see my setup. I'm able to pretty easily and comfortably in my setting get around and play. And so if I do that, it sounds fine. And of course, this also sets you up to be able to plug into an amplifier and get some nice sound, which I will do presently. One thing I like to do, and this is a little tip that I found, is instead of just plugging your cord straight into this is called a pickup, not a pickup, sorry, an input or a jack, plugging into there, This leaves this cord to kind of flop around. One thing that I've done for a long time is I'll actually take this cord, wrap it behind my strap so it has a bit more tension on the short end, and that way if someone pulls on it back here or steps on it, it's not going to pull this jack out of place and make it sound unpleasant or break it even. And that's happened to a lot of people, probably happened to me in the past. I'm going to warn you, my bass amp has seen better days and probably sounds like it has emphysema when it starts up. So we'll see how this sounds. It sounds like we have technical difficulties. So, 1 second, I'm going to get this running. Alright, technical difficulties have been fixed. I've managed to get my amp sounding again a little bit. And so we'll go into more detail in an upcoming video about what all the notes are on the bass, how to maneuver around with your right hand and your left hand. Because the right hand is responsible for initiating sound down here by plucking, usually. A left hand is responsible for playing on a different fret to change the sound that's made when you're plucking. And so these two hands have to work independently of each other but also work together, and so that's a whole topic that will take some time to flesh out. But just know that we're getting there, and that if you feel like you're set up well, you're going to be set up for a good foundation for success as we move forward. Thanks for watching, everyone. If this video has been helpful to you, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, give us a follow so you can get notified with everything that we're doing going forward. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.